we're criminals, homie. You know, we're fucking criminals. Be low key. Don't be fucking blowing yourself up on online. Don't be, you know, just don't be. Just be a little bit like low key.
That's not who they are though.
Well, you know, it's that new generation, homie,
You
and
know,
they lack
it's not even
discipline.
the new generation. This has been the last couple generations. Remember the first 48?
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching one where fucking the guys that smoked them were in a Cadillac with Texas plate. They go straight to the Facebook. First
Whoa.
picture, all three dudes on the Cadillac with Texas plates, holding their guns.
Or
The laws
some.
are actually. I think the laws are a little different nowadays too.
Yeah. Well, back then,
Especially after Corona, a
yeah.
lot of people like it's a low security crime
Yeah.
now. So it's like it's not like
They're not really caring anymore like they used to. I remember in Denver when they were cracking down on graffiti and they made carrying any type of aerosol a felony. You know, and they were
graffiti,
and graffiti
utility or what do they call it?
graffiti utilities
Utensils.
and yeah, and they used to push it. You know, you would go do some
Get
jail
a ticket
time or
for that
whatnot.
shit. Yeah.
But
Talk to Detective Roy Ball.
yeah, Roy Ball and go through that whole little spill, man. Go do graffiti cleanup.
Snitch on your home. Try to get you to snitch on your homies.
Jeez.
But the thing with me is like I knew I was a minor when I was younger. I think I got caught doing graffiti at least like 5-6 times before I turned 17. And I went in there with an attitude, homie. Like I remember like me and my mom being at the little, you know, thing in the judge. I mean talking to the judge in court. And I remember this one case, the judge was like, you had like over 40 cans in your guys' trunk, you know, this and that. And he was like, are you planning on stopping? And I told him, nah, I'm not. And I'm laughing at my
You're
homies
that kid,
behind me.
yeah.
And my mom's pinching me. She's like, you motherfucker. But I knew I was a minor, homie. They would send me to go do my graffiti cleanup, to go, you know, and that's it. Homie slapped me with the ticket, and you know that was it. So I knew my pros and my cons, and I'm not afraid to go to jail. You know what I'm saying? It's just, you know, you get some Kool-Aid with no sugar, a thick ass bologna sandwich. It's cool. It's not out. They ain't hacking our hands off. So in any crime that I do, that I was doing, you always do the pros and the cons. You know what's gonna happen. Even till to this day, you know, we'll go rock a train or something, and you know, I was telling Shu how sometimes, like, you know, some of the trains we've been getting, it's in a hot spot, homie. Like they're in a hot spot. People see that shit and they think we're out in the boondocks in the cornfield, but we're actually like traffic lights are on that train, you know. But we're
Right.
not blowing up the spot. But I'm just saying, like, just with our good senses, homie, we could sense when the car's coming up that street, so we, you know, duck and hide. But at the end of the day, man, we make it safe, but we don't shake, homie. You know, like we're not scared because we've been doing this shit. And we've been through so much shit where what we're doing is fun. And some of these new kids, they think what they're doing, you know, doing graffiti, they think it's the end of the world that they get caught when really it's not. I mean, there's worse things you
Just
could
a
be doing.
ticket.
Yeah, it's just a ticket. So I put that pro and the cons together, and you know, before we go get it, you know, and it just helps the confidence. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
but
I was gonna ask you about racking back then, or like not, boosting compared to like
mm.
nowadays. Like, is it like nowadays you got to worry about a lot of cameras? You know what I mean? And then back then, like, you know what I mean?
Well, like I said, you can't be no cowboys with the shit. And like when we were doing it, there's an art for it. And me and a lot of the homies that I was around were very we have good senses, homie. Like we know when a cat's handshake don't match their smile, you know, things like that. And we know how to listen to our to what we call our G code, our inner G, your, you know, intuitive, your gut feeling. And that plays a big role because you have to be balanced. You have to be able to read that person or whatever, you know, from the spot to the store or whatever. So when I would go in, and if there was any cameras or whatever, you find that weak spot. Every store has a weak spot. It's a corner. It's 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 somewhere you find that weak spot, and you know where you're going to, you know, dump your shit. But like a little funny story though is like shit, probably like 10 years ago, man. It's been like, you know, at that time it's years since I boosted or whatever, you know. And so I'm at this art store, homie, and fucking it was during the holidays. It was real packed, and I'm there, and I'm picking up some acrylics, you know, and I'm looking, and they were like $21, homie, and I was like, God
He's like,
damn.
fuck.
So I'm in the pocket of the store where the acrylics are, and there ain't no cameras, right? And I'm in this big old North Face parka, And I'm looking at this one homie, like this acrylic, and I'm like, damn, $21 for this motherfucker. And before you know it, homie, before I even finished the thought, I already put it in my pocket. And before you know it, bro, I swear to God, it was probably like 20, 30 of those motherfuckers I already took in my pocket. I'm just like, bam, bam, like muscle memory. And I'm like, oh shit. And I walk out, go to my store, go inside my car, and I'm like, damn, that was much easier. And I didn't have to wait in no lines or whatever. But I was like, damn, and I was starting to think how that shit was an addiction, homie. And even with Preach, man, even when he moved to San Diego, I remember him telling me like how he was schooling a lot of people down there with the boosting and everything because they met this homeboy from Denver, and he was showing everybody he met like who he was, homie. Like he'll take something right in front of you, like he'll like he was a gypsy, homie, and we were all gypsies. And so when he moved to San Diego, there were stores that they were. I remember I visited Preach the first year he moved to San Diego, and he didn't know nobody. And we went and visited him, and he took me to this outdoor mall up in La Jolla. And he had a couple of our little bags or whatnot and other things, and he boosted so much shit out there, homie. He was doing walkouts at Home Depot, and let me mind you, out back then, bro, not a lot of people was doing that whole Home Depot shit. I think back then, to be honest, I think I was telling you this too the other day, how I could say like Coase and Preach and them were probably some of the first ones, bro. I mean, I'm sure people walked out, of the place, of course, like in the '90s or maybe in the '80s, but to make it a thing, Preach and Coase, bro. Preach would fill up the whole carts and then put, and just walk right out, man. It wasn't a thing back then, so it made it harder. Now it's a fad, man. Now, everybody's walking out with buckets and whatever. But back then, when not too many people are doing it, it's kind of harder, homie. But there's one thing we always told the little homies was, real fools do what they want, and the weak do what they can.
Right.
So when you're inside of a store, a yard, or whatever, man, you fucking think about how you're going to make it home safe and how you're going to take care of this shit.
All means necessary.
Yeah, but that confidence is a big thing, and that's even in graffiti. You know what I mean? Like, people don't even have the confidence to push themselves. Some people just want to do what's in, but it takes a strong-minded, good, confident person to do something new. You don't know how it's going to be, how it's going to look, or what, and if I didn't have that confidence, I would be bored, homie. Like, I wouldn't even be doing graffiti right now. I'm only doing graffiti right now because it's like a spiritual exercise for me.
Stimulating your mind.
It's very stimulating. I don't pay attention to the scene too much besides good work. I like seeing a guy doing good work, like some good graffiti out there. But besides that, all the gossip and who's cool, who's biting, all that shit, I think that shit's lame, homie. And I think that goes along the same lines as of the whole vanity, homie. Being accepted, letting fools know that, like, oh, I created that. I'm the owner of that idea, because that is vanity taking over. You want to be accepted by other men, So I never got into graffiti for that, It's just a very, like you said, it's just a stimulating thing for me, So with something like that, man, when you do it just for the love, you're gonna be irrelevant. You know what I mean? Like I said before, every year's a new peak for me, and I'm gonna keep pushing myself. And if you're my homie and you painting with me, you're gonna feel that same energy, and you're gonna be pushing yourself too. So when you see somebody with me, rocking with me, you know that he's on one, that he's pushing himself too.
Right.
And that's just the person I am, and that's just who I was brought up. All my homies, that's what we did. We pushed each other. We were there for each other. We made sure we all had money in our pocket, and that's why we were a family. That's why we were the AE mob, And the mob wasn't just a word. It was principle. It was principle between brothers or crew or whatever, like what the mafia had or whatever, and taking care of each other, And that's a big part in that's missing in some of these new school graffiti crews.
I was gonna ask you, I don't know if you mentioned, but how did you actually meet Preach?
Through a homeboy named Rocco. I met him, I think I was 20, 22, 21, and he was around 19, and he had a crew called Death Crew, and I think it was him, Oh My, Omai was in his crew and a couple other cats, and I met him, man, and he was just so psyched to have met me, you know, and to be homeboys with me. But you know, meeting him, he was just 100%, homie. He was down to paint, he was down to boost. He just carried himself good, you know. So I don't know. R.I.P. Preach though.
For the people that don't know who Preach is, kind of give them just like a little bit about Preach because you were close with them, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh man, he was just